We continue to get you all the updates from the CII Urban Air Mobility Expo at the India Expo Center in Greater Noida, where the future of urban air mobility is being discussed. For the last 2 days, we told you about all the air taxi prototypes that are being showcased at the Expo. Today, the focus was around discussing the infrastructure. We had Civil Aviation Ministry officials visiting the Expo, and the focus was on building vertiports, having regulations in place, having the air navigation system in place, and also having the crew licensing criteria in place. Aviation Secretary told CNBC-TV18 that we are in the final stages of forming the regulations. The rules should be finalized this year, and India can soon have air taxis in the skies. By when can we see air taxis in Indian skies, sir?
Very soon.
Then how close are we in framing regulations for air taxis?
They'll all be ready this year. Yeah. The regulations will all be ready. Work is in progress.
The Director General of Civil Aviation Faiz Kidwai spoke on how closely the aviation regulator is looking at this space, the emerging space of advanced air mobility. He said there are 6 working groups formed by the DGCA who are looking at different aspects of operating air taxis. He said that the report on eVTOL certification and setting up of vertiports are already out. They were published last year. And the report on certification of crew will also be out very soon.
As far as eVTOLs are concerned, so I think work is in progress. We recently the team went to the center in Gujarat, and we have to see their facilities and how it can help. We are also in touch with certain manufacturers with the DGCA, so that we can get them and we do not fall behind the curve.
Today we spoke to some of the leading foreign manufacturers of air taxis who are showcasing at the Expo here. California-based Archer is hoping to launch its air taxi in the UAE in 2026. We spoke to Talib Al-Hinai, who looks after Archer's UAE region, and he spoke to us about their certifications and the process of certifications worldwide, including the United States. How much time do you think certification will take after FAA has certified? How much time will that take in India?
It would depend on the groundwork laid in advance of that. So if we look at our operations in the UAE as an example, we've started laying the groundwork for that operation since last year, and we've made a lot of progress. And when you look at laying the groundwork for operations, you look at things such as certification, you look at streams such as infrastructure, such as the airspace, such as MRO facilities, such as security, such as specific commercial structures. All of these things are very required are actually necessary to launch a commercial operation. So when you think of India as an ecosystem, being able to launch in India necessitates having made progress or like having actually neared completion on all of these different work streams.
Okay. I wanted to ask about costs. How different the cost will be from, say, a helicopter ride?
Yeah.
And how affordable will that be? I also wanted to address the acceptability part. Will people have the confidence initially?
Yeah. So I think in terms of cost, we're looking to be very competitive with helicopters. In fact, some of our estimates look at a cost per flight hour that is 4 times cheaper than a conventional helicopter. So we think that's going to be very advantageous for operators.
Brazilian air taxi manufacturer Eve Air Mobility is also at the Expo. They've signed partnership with India's Hunch Mobility. We spoke to Luis Mavage of Eve Air Mobility on how Indian roads, Indian traffic is similar to that in Brazil, and how eVTOLs are quite different than helicopters.
This is Eve. Aircraft is named Eve. Eve is a 4-passenger plus 1 pilot aircraft, full electric. We call the lift plus cruise configuration. It means that we have dedicated rotors for the vertical flight and 1 pusher dedicated to the horizontal flight. So it takes off vertical, transition to the horizontal flight and fly over wings. So you can save battery with this. Right, so it's for 80 to 100 kilometers range, which is perfect for the urban environment. You can cross almost every city in 100 kilometers. eVTOLs we are building them to be a simpler machine than a helicopter. So it's less systems, it translates in low operating costs compared with a helicopter. So this is one advantage. The other one is the noise. It's because you have several rotors, not only one big one rotor, the noise is lower. So we understand that the acceptance of the public will be better than a helicopter.
Now, building vertiports is very essential for air taxis to operate in India. We spoke to Skyport, which is UK-based leading developer and operator of heliports and vertiports. They've built vertiports in Paris and also being built in UK. We spoke to Ankit Das of Skyport, and he told us about the challenges of setting a vertiport and how close are we from having a vertiport in India.
We have compiled a list of challenges and understanding some of the technicalities we need to go through to be able to implement vertiports. We are using some of them to build in England, the next one. But the whole idea about building in India is, first of all, working with the local stakeholders and the regulators. The regulator has supported us well by publishing the vertiport guidance, which is great. But now it's a time to build the whole ecosystem. We are working in India with our partners, Hunch Mobility, who are helping us define that ecosystem and bring all the stakeholders together. Because there are many challenges which come with it, right? And sometimes they're not so obvious. One thing is regulation, we understand, but utilities, the power requirements to turn around an aircraft in 10 minutes requires a huge amount of electricity and power. We need to work with authorities to do that. How do we establish emergency response? How do we establish airfield certification? How do we bring the operators who can operate from our vertiports and can provide different types of eVTOL aircraft? Last but not the least, this service is for our passengers. So we want to ensure that there's intermodality available. There's no point building a vertiport in isolation. And that's a big challenge which we want to solve in India with Hunch Mobility, to find the right sites at the right location for the right use cases so we can serve the broad base of the passengers who are looking for this service.
How soon can we see a vertiport in India?
Usually we would say that once the land has been allocated and we have found a site where it makes sense to build, it's not a big project. We aim to do it in 6 months to 12 months. Again, we are working closely with our partners, Hunch Mobility, to identify the right site for the right use cases. So fingers crossed, I would like to see it maybe within 12 months to 18 months, hopefully.
And where?
Again, site selection and passenger demand will drive a lot of those things.
So then Bangalore will be
Bangalore is high on the list, and again, we have worked with Hunch Mobility for identifying sites in Bangalore. We have done an initial study. We need to understand better the passenger demand, the cost, the business model, and then, should be a reality, hopefully, we can make it happen.
For more news and updates, all you need to do is follow CNBC TV18 on all of our digital platforms.